Hey everyone, today we're going to look at the new FSWerks Fiesta ST catback exhaust system. Now this is a 2.5 inch T304 stainless mandrel bent tubing. It includes a stainless steel muffler as well as stainless steel polished exhaust tips, hardware, clamps, as well as the instruction sheets. So it's already been taken out of the box, so it's not really an unboxing video. But instead I just want to go over and kind of review what these different components look like and kind of my initial thoughts on what they look like coming out of the box. So we'll start up front at the downpipe. This here is the first piece of the exhaust system. The flange here bolts up to the factory downpipe. The hangers are also made out of T304 stainless and then welded accordingly. And these will actually connect right to the factory hangers. Now, I have heard a lot of reports of the factory hangers will cause the exhaust system to move around enough that it actually will bang around on the chassis. So they recommend using the Cobb urethane mounts instead of the factory rubber ones, which I will be doing the same. So overall, the fit and finish quality of the first piece of tubing is very nice. Looks like it's nicely TIG welded up at the flange. The end of the flange looks very nice. No major problems there. The mandrel bends also look to be done very nicely. So overall, pretty happy with this piece. You may notice that this looks, I'd say fairly shiny compared to what the FSWerks exhaust would look like out of the box, and that is because I've actually gone through and sanded all the exhaust tubing with 500, 800, 1,000, 1,500, and then 2,000 grit sandpaper, and then I went through and buffed the entire finish, so it's actually a little bit closer to, I wouldn't say it's a mirror finish or it's as good as quality as the tips, but it's a heck of a lot nicer than what it came out of the box as. So if you have time and you don't mind doing the work, you can really work on polishing up this exhaust system to make it look pretty nice. But overall, the initial first pipe looks good. No problems whatsoever with that one. The second piece is got a lot more bends to it, and this connects to the first pipe there using a slip joint, which I keep the cardboard protection on here so I don't scrape up the table here, and it uses the muffler clamps provided here to secure them. So, and the same connection back at the muffler then as well. This piece here sits basically right underneath the rear seat of the vehicle, goes right around the gas tank, and connects up to the muffler, and the rear suspension kind of passes through right about here. So once again, the mandrel bends look to be very nice. I also polished this pipe up quite a bit. There are still some jaw marks from the bending equipment that I wasn't able to get out, but for the most part, once again, it's a good looking piece of exhaust. No real complaints or anything at all. Everything looks to be pretty good. Set that down and move on to the muffler. Overall, the muffler looks okay. The welds aren't nearly as nice as they are on the rest of the exhaust system. I guess I'm a little disappointed in the muffler itself. There's a lot more weld spatter, and the muffler was scratched and dinged a lot more than I would have expected it to be. I worked out a lot of the scuffs by polishing them out, and it came out okay. It's not great. Now, I've installed a lot of different exhaust systems. I've done Apexi, I've done MagnaFlow, Dynamax, Borla, Vibrant. I've done a lot of different exhaust systems over the years, and I would say out of all the exhaust systems I've done, this muffler probably is a little bit lower on the quality scale than what I've seen before. So it's a little bit of a disappointment, but the price point that the FSWerks exhaust system sells at is a lot more competitive than some of the higher quality ones. So I think the piping is probably pretty close to being equivalent quality, but the muffler itself, maybe that's where some of that price difference comes in. I don't think it's going to be a bad muffler by any means. I just noticed that the quality of the muffler from the outside isn't quite the same as what I've seen on the rest of the exhaust system. And I think a lot of that could have been remedied by just kind of protecting the surface from weld splatter, and maybe TIG weld instead of MIG. I think something of the weld just doesn't look to be nearly as high quality as what I've seen before on other mufflers. I think the Apexi system I had run in the past on another car was probably one of the nicest I've ever seen. The welds were artwork, and this one's just not quite there. It's not bad, but it's just not the same. So once again, the hangers are T304 stainless, welded to the case. Everything looks to be okay with the hangers, except for what I have noticed is that the hangers are fairly, they're just straight rod, and there really isn't anything to kind of protect them from sliding back and forth on the bushing. So I think what I'm going to do is once everything gets installed on the vehicle and everything's aligned properly, is I'm going to probably have a stainless steel washer placed up against the urethane bushing on the, towards the center line of the exhaust system, and then just tacked into place. And what that will do is it'll just kind of help prevent the exhaust from moving side to side. And then the urethane, being a stiffer durometer than the rubber, will help reduce it fore and aft. So I think that will really cut down on the chances of any part of this exhaust system coming in contact with the rest of the vehicle. So now that we've looked at these components here, let's look at the one part that you're actually going to see. Because chances are, unless you spend a lot of time under your car, the only guy that's going to see this is your oil change guy. So anyway, let's look at the one part you do see. And I do have to say, FSWerks did an amazing job. These are twin 3-inch highly polished stainless steel tips, T304. They have FSWerks laser etched on the top of them. And the welds on this look to be very nice. Everything on the tips is first class. I did go through and sand and polish this section here because this was left probably in the same finish that the rest of the exhaust system was, and I wanted to kind of make that look a little better. So I did sand and polish this section here. But from here on out, this is all the way it came from FSWerks, and it's top notch. So I did go inside and polish the inside of the tips just a little bit, but that was the only thing I did to this portion of it here. One thing that I do like about the FSWerks system over the other ones is the fact that when I get done bolting this thing all up, I can take, since the tips are held on with a clamp, I can adjust the orientation of the exhaust tips both fore, aft, and rotation. A lot of times you get down with your exhaust system install and you get it on the ground and you realize that the tips are crooked and everything is so fixed in the system that there's no way to correct that. So what's nice about having this being separate is the fact that I can adjust it, get it exactly where I want it, and then I can always go through and weld it afterwards instead of using the clamp. But as for right now, I'm going to plan on installing it with the clamp and then kind of go from there. But the tips are extremely nice, and I like this design the best. I've looked at Montoon, I've looked at Cobb, and I looked at FSWerks. Those are the three that I had looked at for exhaust systems on what I want on my own personal car. I think from a quality standpoint and engineering, Montoon is probably the best. From a quality and workmanship, I'd say Cobb and Montoon are both fairly equal. They have equal price points, but they're a little bit higher price than what I was willing to spend for an exhaust system. So that brought me to the FSWerks one, and with the Black Friday sale that I got on these components, it actually made a very affordable exhaust system for what I want to try. Knowing that, if I get 5 years worth of life out of it, that's fantastic. I may not even own the Fiesta in that many more years. So I'm not looking at something that's I don't need it to last 100 years, but I do need it to stay nice and look good, sound good, and hold up to Michigan winters. And everything I see here looks like it's going to be able to do the job. Plus, I actually like the design of the FSWerks exhaust tips, probably the most out of all of them. The Montoon tips look almost a little too factory. The Cobb tips are probably second, and if the Cobb was a little bit more price competitive with the FSWerks, then I would have gone with the Cobb. But for the price point, the quality, everything, tip design, the FSWerks exhaust system is definitely the one I want to go with, and I'm very happy with the results. Even if the muffler itself may not be the highest quality looking muffler that I've ever seen, at the end of the day, it's really the sound that you really buy the exhaust system for, and I think I'm gonna get that from the reviews I've read. Sounds like this is going to be just fine. So unfortunately, it's winter in Michigan, so I'm going to have a few more months before I can get it on the car. But I am planning a installation video and a sound review video as well. But overall, if you are on a budget and the cob and the mount tune systems are a little bit out of your price range, I think you'd be totally happy with the FSWerks exhaust system. Especially if you want to spend a little extra time sanding and polishing all the tubing, you can really turn this into a very nice exhaust system at a very attractive price point. So subscribe to the YouTube page and get ready for a review and installation in the spring. Thanks again.